Papua New Guinea is a young nation, only 30 years into its independence from Australia. For centuries, the country's indigenous people have lived off the vast forests that nearly cover their tropical island. Following the Melanesian custom, indigenous communities own parcels of the forest and land rights remain tightly held by each clan. But since the 1980s, illegal industrial logging has caused significant environmental damage and social dislocation in many communities.
Western Province, of course, holds PNG's largest rainforest. It's about 400,000 hectares of untouched tropical rainforest. The developer has been granted the permit already to log in the area. That project has not been developed in line with the National Forest Plan, which is what we're saying is illegal.
We're dealing with corruption here, and I mean, corruption is a crime. A criminal should be in jail, and the forests are in fact being stolen. And this is a process that has to be confronted, and the only way of confronting it is in the courts.
Any discussion about logging in Papua New Guinea leads to Rimbunan Hijau, or RH, a Malaysian multinational timber corporation.
Timber permit extensions without having to...
Anne Kajir and the Environmental Law Center provide the strongest indigenous voice against RH's persistent illegal logging practices. Annie leads complex cases that put her in direct opposition to RH and the government, which was often fully allied with the timber giant. For 5 years, she served as senior counsel to indigenous landowners who are fighting RH, the government forest authority, and the state over repeated violations of federal law.
In forestry management agreement, where the rights of the landowners are going to be passed to the state over their forest resources, then the people have got to be properly educated. All man, what you put him inside the parliament? They've got to be told about what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages of logging. That doesn't get done.
So that's when the NGOs got together and decided that we should go out on a campaign, educating our own people as well as educating the international community about what is happening in this country. What we really need is our own people in this country to take the lead.
Before, this whole area was covered by forests, and there were many birds and other animals. We could fish and hunt and have gardens. We made our canoes and our houses from the big trees that surrounded us. Now, after 30 years of logging, the forest is mostly gone, and we have nothing to show for it.
RH dominates the logging industry in Papua New Guinea. It often uses subsidiary timber companies to fraudulently transfer land titles to the PNG government. This practice distances the company from indigenous landowner claims and makes legal redress complicated. There's also ample evidence that RH logs outside of legally designated areas and underreports its timber export to avoid paying landowner fees and government taxes. In this culture of corruption, defending indigenous rights and sustainable forestry can be extremely dangerous.
There are instances where people are physically intimidated, because they speak out about, we don't want logging on our land. There are allegations where policemen have beaten landowners with gun barrels, making them run in front of police vehicles while the police van follows them, threatening that they'd kill them if they continue to speak up.
There's been a series of other incidents. Cars have been followed. Individuals have been followed. Annie's apartment has been burgled. Her laptop computer has been stolen. When you put that in the context of human rights abuses that one sees against activists in other countries, that is routine. That's the way people work against you.
Annie is spearheading a case in Papua New Guinea's Supreme Court, alleging that the PNG Forest Authority, the state, and Rimbunan Hijau have repeatedly violated federal law by using illegal logging permits on indigenous lands in the Western Province.
Taking on multinational corporations like Rimbunan Hijau, you have to be tough. And the more they do that, she's even more determined, and that's very encouraging. And she's a great role model, and I personally admire her.
So far, Kajir's legal advocacy stopped a major logging concession in the Western Province. and has been a major force in mounting a constitutional challenge against all industrial logging in the area. Her work will help to set precedents for how all logging permits are handled in Papua New Guinea.
EFF, who are the clients in this case, took out an injunction to stop any further logging in the area until the matter was properly determined on trial. And immediately, the company tried to get the injunction uplifted. The Supreme Court knocked back that application. So they are quite determined to see that they get it their way. Well, we want it our way too.
Papua New Guinea's constitution emphasizes the rights of the individual over the state. Anne Kajir and the environmental movement of PNG are challenging the government to uphold its promise of democracy, where fair compensation for land is upheld as a democratic value. She's fighting for future generations so they won't be denied their natural heritage and traditions.
I would like to be an inspiration for others to take on this fight and, hopefully do it for our forests and our people.
For outstanding environmental achievement for islands and island nations, the 2006 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Anne Kajir, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea.